Special guest on today's show, your favorite Duck who hasn't played a snap yet.
You are Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Oregon Ducks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, it is that time once again on a Friday for Locked On Ducks. I'm your host, Spencer McLaughlin. Thank you so much for making this your first listen or your first view of the day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day and your number one source to stay up to date with the Ducks. This episode brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Those of you who are not as internet inclined may be mildly unfamiliar with my guest for today's show, Tristan Phillips, four-star linebacker in the class of 2026 for the Ducks. Those of you who are a bit more online are well aware of Tristan's latest work. So Tristan, it's great to have you on the show. I know a lot of people are excited for this, so let's hop right into it. I want to start with, your own legend that has kind of been born before you have even signed your national letter of intent, right? You can't do that until December, and you've kind of cemented yourself amongst a segment of Oregon fans with, the way you've been jabbing at Washington fans online. I'm here for it, man. It's May. I can't get enough of this sort of stuff. I just want to start with that. Where does that come from for you? There have been a lot of Oregon players to commit during the time I've hosted this show. None of them have, leapt into the rivalry like this. Where does that come from for you?
So to be honest, I've always been big on rivalries. Here in Ventura, there's a school called Buena, and it's a big crosstown rivalry. So I've been growing up around that my whole entire life, and so I've kind of just learned you hate your rival school, and whatever school you're on, you're gonna hate the other school no matter what. You're gonna talk some smack and have some fun with it. So to be honest, I never even meant for it to blow up this much, I mean, the guy made the article about the coach coming to see me, and I just didn't want it stirring up anything like, oh, maybe people thought Washington was back in the picture and I was considering Washington. So that's why I just retweeted it and put I put a duck emoji, rise emoji, and a green heart. I mean, that's all I put, right? And then all of a sudden, all these Washington fans are all butthurt about it, coming after me, and so I'm getting a bunch of attention from it, getting all these followers, guys are tapping in, and then that's when I saw one tweet, I forget what it was, but I replied to it with the score of the game of last year's Oregon-Washington game, and the match just took off. And I saw all these Oregon fans coming in, loving it, and so I was like, you know what, I could take this somewhere. Like, I wasn't even trying to get anything started, but I'm going to get this rivalry going. So it's been pretty funny to have some fun with it. That's a rivalry, you're going to be talking some smack, having some fun, and that's just kind of what I've been raised around. My family have always been big on, having fun with each other, talking smack to each other, and just kind of, it comes with my competitive spirit. So that's how that all kind of started getting going.
How many siblings do you have?
I have one sibling, and you guys would be surprised. I just have one older sister. So I'm
not surprised that it's an older sibling, because I'm a younger sibling myself, and when someone comes at me with something or is clapping at me or whatever, I just have that instinct to just jab them.
No,
just jab. Never, when you're the younger sibling, you never throw the haymaker. You're smaller, right? Like
exactly.
My older brother, if I said the wrong thing, I was getting my butt kicked. I couldn't do that. You just kind of jab at him. Do you think that's where it comes from? Is growing up in that setting? Is you just have that instinct of like, I know how to bother you just enough.
Oh, big time. I mean, she's about 3.5 years older than me. And so growing up, like, our parents, like, kind of let us roughhouse each other a little bit. And we'd always get mad at each other and honestly get pretty feisty with each other sometimes. And when I was really young, she always got the better of me and kicked my butt a bit. And as we got older, it kind of started to change. And then we kind of like, okay, we have to cut this off because I'm getting to the size and age where we can't be wrestling around anymore and getting hurt and everything like that. But having her picking on me when I was younger and me always getting mad at her and us tussling, I feel like definitely played a role into kind of that snapping kind of mentality. And then I also had older cousins on my mom's side who whenever they didn't live close by, but whenever they were visiting or we were visiting them, they loved to mess with me. And my parents let it happen. They kind of viewed it as like, him having older cousins were roughing him up and messing with them, it's just going to make him tougher. And it's not like I was sitting there crying and taking it. Obviously, you know me, I'm a little guy trying to get my shots in and win the battle, but most of the times I didn't. So it definitely built some character and made me tough. So I'm appreciative of it for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the Oregon polo that you've got rocking there, by the way. And you know, with all of this, like you said, this has really just kind of come about in the last week or so. You weren't planning it or anything like that. Does it make you even more excited, not just to get to Oregon, but to play in your first rivalry game in whatever capacity that is? Because, you know, as someone that you can't tell by, you know, where or how you're viewing me right now, I was never going to play college football. That was not physically in the cards for me at any point in time. But I've of course watched this rivalry and been around it and had family on both sides of it my entire life. So has the last week kind of elevated in your mind that excitement level of, man, I want to play college football, but man, now I really want to play Washington because a bunch of those fans are going to know who I am. All that is that a real thing for you?
No, 100%. Like ever since this whole thing started, I'm kind of thinking like, wait, I have a whole senior year left to play. I can't even tap into this rivalry for at least another year and a half until we play them. So, you know, I'm going to be very excited once I get up there to really start developing and getting ready for that rivalry game. And it definitely is, you know, fuel to the fires to keep getting better and making sure that when I get up to Oregon that I'm never going to lose to that school over there. So,
yeah,
it definitely is, you know, fueling my fire a little bit for sure.
I got you. So you're a California kid though, and now you're just kind of entrenched at some level in this Northwest rivalry that has gone on for a very, very long time. Is that, you know, a strange thing to you, or kind of what was your perception of Oregon growing up? Did you ever think you'd be in a position here where, you know, you still have another year of high school left before you make your way off to college and you're already thinking, hey, I can't wait to play in this specific college football game?
Yeah, so growing up, I always was a big fan of Oregon, but as a young kid, I didn't really understand how big the rivalry was. And so I think the last few years, I really started to understand college football rivalries and how big they are, especially Oregon, Washington. You got Ohio State, Michigan, and Texas, Oklahoma, like rivalries like that. I really started to understand how big they were. And so, like I said, I was always an Oregon fan growing up. And so now that I'm kind of in this position to go to school there and play football, I'm definitely very excited for it. As a youngster, you know, I wouldn't say I imagined being in this position. It was a dream, but I knew if I kept doing the right things and got on the right path, I would make it happen. And so I'm just very fortunate to have this opportunity.
By the way, at what age approximately did the roughhousing with you and your sister have to stop? 24/7 Sports has got you listed at 6'3", 215 pounds. I hope it was a few inches and many pounds ago that had to be dialed back a little bit.
Oh, I would say sixth grade, so it's definitely been a little while. I remember the exact day it stopped. We got into a little tussle in our backyard. And I was in sixth grade. It was actually during lockdown. So we're playing around in my backyard. I think we were playing basketball against each other. And she was whipping me, and I got mad because she's tall. She's like 5'11". So she's not a small person herself. She's tall, and she was whipping me in basketball. I was probably about 5'9", $150 in sixth grade. And I remember throwing a basketball at her, and then she took me and threw me onto the grass. And I got real mad, and then I ended up getting positioning on her and putting her in a headlock. She started crying. My mom got all mad at me. My dad got all mad at me. And that's when we all kind of realized, like, okay, we need to bring this to an end because I'm starting to get big and develop that teenager strength, and we can't be doing this anymore. So it's kind of funny to think back on that. And trust me, it's been a long time since we've gotten into it like that. So.
Yeah, I'd imagine as much. You were 5'9", 150 in sixth grade. I'm 5'9", 165 now. And despite how I look, I'm not in school. So that's always comforting. But we got plenty more coming with Tristan Phillips, Oregon linebacker commit. The recruiting process, what is that like? That is coming up next. First, this episode brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like the NBA playoffs. The intensity, the buzzer beaters, the fans losing their minds, kind of like they're doing for the Pacers right now. It's kind of the atmosphere that you want to be in, that you must experience live. And this year's matchups are already delivering. If you want in, Game Time makes it fast and easy to get seats, even for the biggest playoff games. Prices on the app actually drop the closer it gets to tip-off. And with killer last-minute deals, panoramic seat views, which are great, and no surprise fees, Game Time is a total game changer. I've used Game Time on multiple occasions. I got a great view of my seat. I got a great deal, knew what I was paying up front, no surprise fees at checkout. That seems like a small thing. That's a big thing for me. I hate that stuff, and Game Time says, no, you don't need to deal with that. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. That's LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, Tristan, I want to ask you about your recruitment to Oregon and kind of what that whole process was like. I think a lot of people, see it happen from afar and wait for the commits to roll in. But for a guy like you who's already committed to Oregon and, very much appears in the 10 toes down department of things, what was that process like? And when did that process begin for you? When did Oregon first get on your radar, and kind of how did that progress and how much time did it take?
So it's kind of funny you asked that question, because a couple days ago, Coach Brian McLaughlin, the linebackers coach, came to visit me down in Ventura at school. And a year ago around this time, we met for the first time. He came through school and we met in my coach's office. And that's the first time I met with any Oregon coach and started to get to know him. And so it's kind of funny. He came through a couple days ago, and now that we've had a very strong relationship building for the last year, he was like, no, we're going to do this. And we sat down in the exact places where we met each other for the first time. And he said, a year ago around this time, we just met each other for the first time, and here we are and visiting you while you're committed. Isn't this a crazy process? And I'm like, I didn't even think about it like that. Like that's absolutely crazy to think about. So we met about a year ago, and they started recruiting me. And to be honest, they seemed very interested at first. And so I thought for sure I was going to get a pretty early offer from them. But Coach B. Mike, he knew how important that offer was to me, so he wanted to make sure that it was the right time, and that if I wanted to, as soon as he offered me, I could commit. Now, did I commit right as he offered me? No, I didn't. They offered me after my first game. They saw my first game of film, and they're like, okay, this kid is stamped, a ball player that we want in our room. We really feel like we can develop him. His effort, his speed, everything is through the roof, so we're going to offer him. So he offers me after my first game of the season in first week of September. And then I got up to the Ohio State game when they played Ohio State. So I got to see that crazy game. And so that was
the first one, right? Not
the first one.
The first one. That was a good day. That was a good day.
And so that was good. That was my first time being up to an Oregon game as a recruit.
Awesome.
My freshman year, I went up to an Oregon game when they played UCLA, but I was just going to see a game. I wasn't a recruit or anything yet. And so not only from before they offered me were they showing a lot of interest, but when they offered me, it just amped up even more. So they were already recruiting me hard, and then once they offered me, it just absolutely shot through the roof. I remember Coach Lanning coming up to me after the Ohio State game and just kind of telling me, like, we don't want you to make an emotional decision just because we want a big game. I want you to become a Duck whenever your heart feels like you need to be a Duck. So he wasn't pressuring me to, we just won this big game, become a Duck right now. He wanted me to do the right thing and kind of let the emotions cool down before I made a big decision like that. And so I didn't commit or anything. I'd say about another month, 3 weeks went on, and I'm lifting one day, and I'm like, I'm ready to pull the trigger. I want to go to Oregon. So I texted my coach, texted my dad, texted my family. I'm like, hey, guys, I'm ready to commit to Oregon. Let's get this thing going. And so we kind of planned like a whole this might kind of leak it, but the whole top 6 thing, I already knew where I was going the whole entire time. I mean, it was kind of just for media purposes to hype it up and everything like that. So we did that, made the top 6, kind of got it hyped up, set a commitment date a lot of people were already suspecting Oregon, but so we set up a commitment date. I went up there for the Oregon-Washington game this year. They hadn't known yet. I went up to a game about, I would say it's about a week or two after I kind of told my family and coaches. And when I got up there for the game, I got up there on a Friday, so I got to spend a lot of time with them before the game. And the first time I saw Coach B. Mike, I let him know I was committing. And then when I saw Coach Lanning, it was actually after the game when I saw Coach Lanning, I told him I was committing. And I kind of just slowly let all the coaches know that, hey, I'm ready to be a Duck. Let's get this thing going. And so that was really fun. And they kept it on the low because that next weekend I was going to be announcing it to the public. And so that next weekend we had a kind of commitment announcement thing at my house. And I announced I was going to be a Duck. And then I would say after I committed to Oregon, they really started looking at, okay, let's start developing you and helping you in any way that we can to get you as ready as we can when you come up to school so things aren't, so fast and flying at you so crazy when you get up here. So they've been doing a great job of making me feel the love, showing me the kind of people they are and what their plan is for me and the future of the school. And so I just really trust the coaching staff up there. I love Coach B. Mike and because of how much he believes in developing guys. Like he said in a speech one day when the guy asked him about the transfer portal, he didn't take a transfer portal guy this year. He very easily could have went and find another senior linebacker. Obviously, we got Bryce and another one of the linebackers is banged up, so he could have easily went and found a more experienced linebacker because they do kind of have a young to middle-aged linebacker room right now. But he's like, no, I'm very big on developing guys all 4 years and getting them ready. I mean, if you look at Jeff Bossa, he just got drafted by the Chiefs, and when he came into Oregon, he was a safety. So he wasn't even a linebacker. Coach B. Mike took him his last, I believe, 2-3 years and made him draft pick linebacker. He took Bryce. Bryce came to the school as a walk-on. No star. He had, I think, 3 stars, but he came to school as a walk-on. Played safety, was kind of labeled as an athlete coming out of high school. Converts to a linebacker, and now he's one of the best, if not the best linebacker in college football. So seeing things like that really shows true development. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what I'm excited for, is to get up there and get developed by not only the best linebacker coach in the country, but just the best coaching staff in the country.
If going back to our first segment, if you care to really rile up the Husky fans, throw that D word, development, out there a lot. That'll send them into a tizzy. I promise. If you just find a way to work that in, they'll come flooding in and do the rest. But man, so much good stuff in that answer. And this is clearly not your first interview, right? You've done a few of these before.
100%. And I would even say, obviously, doing a lot of interviews and talking to a lot of people has kind of helped, give me a read on what type of questions I'm going to be asked. But from a very young age, I've just been around, exposed to a lot of, barbecues, and my parents are very outgoing people, and we've always had a lot of friends come over for, Sunday football, college football, NBA playoffs. So growing up, I've been around a lot of my parents' friends. They've brought their kids over. So I've been around a lot of social settings, and I feel like that really just kind of helped me mature from a young age and kind of develop very good social skills. And so, it's kind of funny. A lot of people, based off my Twitter and everything and my football play, would probably think I'm a pretty loud guy. But I can promise you, off of the football field and off of having some fun on Twitter or X, I'm actually a very quiet guy. So a lot of people think that, I'm loud and I'm obnoxious, but I'm really just a quiet guy who, if they're talked to, has no problem having a conversation. So
yeah, I love it. And your first game to Oregon as a recruit being Ohio State, I know you mentioned Coach Lanning came to you and said, don't make an emotional decision. But, I mean, it had to play a part, right, to see that game, that environment. I mean, that's probably the biggest win in the history of Autzen Stadium. It's certainly up there. I know there's a recruit you've probably heard of from a past cycle, Kayvon Thibodeau, said that he was at the 2018 Oregon-Washington game at Autzen, which was kind of like the rebirth moment of Oregon football after a downswell. And he said after that game, you know, he knew I got to come and go school here. So when you went up and went to that Ohio State game and saw Autzen in all its glory and that crowd, that environment, that football game, gosh, it was an incredible game. And Oregon comes out on top. Were you able to take Coach Lanning's advice, or what, was there a little bit of like, man, that was so cool, how could I not go be a part of that?
To be honest, I think I did a really good job of taking Coach Lanning's advice and kind of staying where my feet are and staying calm, because there was also a couple other kids that committed right after that game. And so it was kind of like, okay, there's a couple kids that just committed around me. I really like what's going on, but I need to, you know, sit back, take a deep breath, and kind of just play out the process a little bit more before I make a big decision like that. Because I'm not the type of guy who's going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to commit, and then a couple weeks later be like, oh, I don't know if I made the right decision. I think I might need to pull out of it. So I definitely think I did a great job of taking Coach Lanning's advice and just keeping my calm and everything like that. And it's crazy you bring up Kayvon, because when I was in 6th grade, Kayvon was a senior in high school, and he plays at Oaks Christian, which is about 30 minutes away from me. And my dad reffed about 3-4 of his games, so I got to see a few of his games the senior year in high school, and he was an absolute animal.
Incredible.
So I never got to get up to a game when he was up there at Oregon, but I got to see him play in high school, and he was a freak show. I really believe that his competitive spirit is a big part of what took him a long way. Obviously, he's physically gifted and physically a freak of nature, but that guy was a nasty dude on the football field, talked a lot of trash, was trying to put fear into the guy on the other side of the ball on him. And that's kind of, I feel like, something I really resemble is obviously I got gifted with amazing athletic ability and amazing size, you know, long frame, 6'3", 215. It's actually 220 pounds now. I need them to update that.
I'll make a phone call. I know a guy. I know a guy.
The guy who's 6'3" and 220 pounds flying around the field, who's very athletic, that's physically scary for kids. And then so when I'm destroying them physically and then talking smack to them and getting their head mentally, I really believe that throws a guy off their game big time. So if you can physically dominate your opponent and then also mentally check into them and start kind of getting their mind flustered, that's how you take your opponent out of the game. So I'm a big believer in the game of football is a very nasty game. You're going to have to be physically tough, and you're going to have to be more mentally tough than physically tough, because there's going to be some things going on that you don't like. There's going to be some guys saying stuff to you that you don't like, and that's what you got to understand, that they're just trying to get you out of their game. So if you don't care anything that they have to say, but you're tapping them mentally and you're starting to tell, I'm getting this guy's head, then you can really take over someone's game from there. So it's football's a great sport. I love it for that reason, and it fits me as a person because, like I said, off that field, I'm very quiet, very controlled, very collected. But when I get on that field, it's controlled chaos. I'm talking a lot of smack, getting after it, physically dominating, and so it's, you know, an all-around great game.
6'3", 220 pounds. It's guys like you that made guys like me decide to go up into the booth instead of going on the field, lest my physical safety be in peril, shall we say. I have one more question I still want to ask you about your recruitment, and we'll get to your career outlook as well. More with Tristan Phillips, Oregon linebacker commit, coming up next. First, this episode brought to you by Wayfair. The days are getting longer, the weather's warming up, and people are spending more time outside, which means it's the perfect time to refresh your outdoor space. Whether you're working with a big backyard or a small balcony, Wayfair has everything you need to make it feel more like you. Wayfair's massive selection of outdoor essentials makes it easy to transform any space into your ideal summer setup. From comfy conversation sets to sleek dining tables and outdoor decor, they've got it all, and at prices that fit your budget. I love the mix of styles that they offer. Wayfair makes it super easy to find pieces that match your vibe without spending a fortune. I just moved to a new apartment. I'm looking for furniture for a couple of different areas of the place. Wayfair's got everything that I need. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online this summer. Get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. All right, so Tristan, obviously you've committed to Oregon, but there were plenty of other schools that were interested. As you were going about the recruiting process, what stood out about Oregon? And when you went on a visit to Eugene to see the Ducks, and you mentioned the Ohio State game, taking that out of it, how does that visit and what Oregon did for you on the recruiting trail compare to what other schools did as they were trying to get you to commit as well?
I would say the coaching staff. So if you look at Coach Lanning, since he's got to Oregon, not only have they gotten better every single year, but they've also gotten more guys drafted every single year. And now this year, he just set an Oregon school draft record. And so that really goes to show development. And each year that he's going to make sure that he's trying to get better and better each year. And then in terms of stability, if you look at the coaching staff, you just get that feeling that they're very stable and that someone's going to have a very hard time leaving not only that culture but just the coaching staff. And they've done a great job of building a culture at that school. That I've really been able to tell just with the guys on the football team being around them that they all get along together. Obviously, they're competing in practice and everything like that, but iron sharpens iron. And they're competing in practice, but off the field, they're all hanging out. They're all getting together to hang out. They're having fun together. They're talking to each other. I feel like Coach Lanning's done a really good job of building a brotherhood there. So I would say the stability in the coaching staff, the development that they're going to be able to offer, the education, and then the culture they're building there is just. I feel like I couldn't get better resources anywhere else. And it's kind of funny, a lot of people that don't know the behind the scenes of everything, they're just going to say, oh, Oregon has all this money. They're throwing all this money at him. Oh, they have all these facilities. Yeah, the facilities are great. Those go a long way as a football player. You want to make sure you have those resources. But in terms of money, I've been committed since December. They haven't spoken money with me once. And I feel like that's a great thing because, they wanted me to make a decision because of who they are and what they bring to the table and not the money they have to offer to me. And so it's kind of funny when I committed, everyone just went straight to, oh, he only chose this school over all the other schools because they gave him the bag. And I kind of sit back and laugh and I'm like, little do they know I, to this day, haven't spoken a cent with what I'm going to be making in money or anything like that. They haven't thrown any amount of money at me. It's just been all about development and what they're going to do for me as a football player when I get up there. So that really stands out to me, and I feel like they're really going to care for my well-being as a person and a football player, and it just is really special to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. When you talk about the staff in very glowing terms, obviously, you're a talented guy. That's clear and obvious to anybody that watches your tape, sees your recruiting ranking, anything like that. But it's not as if you're going to be the only talented guy on the roster. And I know, we talked about earlier, you want to get that chance to get on the field, play against Washington, play against anybody in a college football game, right? Like that's, I'm sure, a bucket list sort of item for you. But with regards to, your career outlook with the staff, you talked about development a lot. What has that messaging been like with the staff with regards to when you expect to see the field or how much you expect to see the field? Because, Coach Lanning and his staff, in the years that I've been covering him here on the show, true freshmen have seen the field. It's definitely hard with the way that Oregon recruits talent every single cycle. So what have those conversations been like, and how do you approach that personally with regards to how you want your career to play out with the Ducks?
Yeah, so the way I see it is I got to earn everything. I'm not expecting anything to be handed to me, and I'm well aware that when I get up there to Oregon, there's going to be very good talent everywhere on the field. And so my thing that I always remind myself is when the time comes to go up there, I can't have a big head. I can't have a big ego. I just got to go in ready to work, ready to compete. That's the biggest thing. You got to be ready to compete. But one thing that Coach Lanning and their staff have said to me and said to other recruits that really stood out to me is they kind of said, after a season, every year, they reset. So if you had a starting spot the year before, but a guy comes in or a freshman comes in or a transfer portal guy comes in and they earn it more than you have, and they show that they're more trustable and that they just straight up have, been a better player, then that's their spot. So it's really up to you to how much time you're going to put into film study, learning the playbook, how hard you're going to work in the weight room and on the field and doing extra things, and then just really being able to be coachable. And that's one thing why I'm confident is, I wouldn't, in all honesty, I would never commit to a school if I did not think I had a solid opportunity to play. If I thought that, I was more of a FCS guy, I would have done what's best for me. But I believe with my work ethic and my talents and how coachable I am and just how fast I take in, football IQ, that if I keep doing the right things and stay healthy, that I could be a great college linebacker. And I totally believe that Coach Brian Michalowski thinks the same thing. And I think that's why he's recruiting me so hard. And that's why I built such a strong relationship, because he's even told me when we've been watching film together and breaking things down, and he's coaching me up on things and telling me things, he even made a comment about it. He's like, dude, I say it to you once or show it to you once, maybe twice, and then I ask you questions on it to kind of quiz you, and you're like, you already pick up on it. You already know what's going on. It doesn't go in one ear and out the other. Like, you pick up on things fast. You're very coachable. It shows you have a high football IQ. So that's kind of my biggest thing, is just keeping my feet where they are and just getting 1% better every day and trusting the process, trusting their process to develop me. And when I get up there, it's going to be up to me, when it comes to playing time. If I earn it and I ball out in spring and fall camp and things like that, and I earn it, then I believe they will play me. And if, maybe I don't have as good of a early enroll spring or fall camp as I'd like, I'm going to believe that, okay, I might not be quite ready this year, but they're going to keep developing and making sure that I'm getting better every day for, the years to come. And so that's the way I kind of see it, is you got to go in ready to work, ready to compete, knowing that there's going to be talent all over the field. You can't have a big ego, and that you got to do all the right things. And if you do all the right things and you don't earn your opportunity early on, then it is what it is. At least you're not going to look in the past and regret, I think if I would have done this or this, I'm going to, things would have been different. If you give it your all and put time into film study, have the right nutrition, get good sleep, work hard in the weight room, on the field, doing extra things, a lot of times good things happen with that. So I really believe, just like I said, with my work ethic and the type of kid I am, and the not only physical abilities I bring to a football field, but the football IQ, that I can earn playing time early on in my career.
Awesome. Love that. Tristan, this has been great. I want to kind of give you the floor here to wrap up today's show. What's your message to Oregon fans right now? Obviously, you won't be – are you planning to enroll early next year, be around for next spring ball?
Yeah, so I'll be early enrolling in late December. I'll be getting everything up there and early enrolling. So I expect my jersey to be getting bought pretty quick once that gets up in the Duck store. All right.
Yeah, so that's awesome. But I'll give you the floor. Just any parting message to Duck fans as they think about upcoming season, your career, and anything that you want to say to Oregon fans.
I love you guys. I mean, this whole thing on Twitter, not only did I love Duck fans from what I've seen at the football games, but after this whole thing on Twitter, man, you guys are ride or die with your players, your recruits, the school. It really showed me how special the fans are up in, Eugene and just all around the country. Whoever Oregon fans, they're ride or die, and, it's just been great. So I'm glad I've kind of got to see how true they are to, people who are going to be affiliated with Oregon. And I'm looking forward to, just keep building my platform. And I think as a player and as a recruit, it's really cool to tap in with your fans, If you look, once I've made these, funny posts about Washington and kind of troll them a little bit, I don't respond to any of the hate comments or anything like that. I just look for the good, Oregon fans laughing or making a comment. I'll like it. Some stuff I'll even repost. But I'm not even looking for the bad stuff. I'm just looking for, my Oregon fans to, see the funny things they have to say and just kind of tap in with them and build a little relationship with them. And I feel like that, as a fan, that really goes a long way. Because, when I was a young kid, there was a lot of older guys I looked up to, who if they ever spoke to me or, I got to text them on social media, it meant a lot to me. So I think it's really cool to be able to tap in with the Oregon fans a little bit and, for them to get to know me a little bit and have some fun with them, talking some smack about the rivalry. And I love it. It's been great. I love my Oregon fans.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's the right approach. By the way, I've got the same approach. Like I scroll through, people said negative stuff. Like, who cares? Where's the good stuff? Where are the fans who are engaging and being positive? That's the right way to go about it, at least from my vantage point. Tristan Phillips, Oregon 2026 linebacker commit. Great to have you on the show, my man. I appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and go Ducks.